Here are today's top stories. A Marcos and Aquino are set for a face-off in the 2019 elections, while former presidential candidate Mar Rojas and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile also vie for senatorial slots. Malacanang says President Duterte is likely to order the suspension of excise tax on fuel soon in a bid to tame inflation. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar submits a proposed executive order reverting the PCOOU to the Office of the Press Secretary. And Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says liberalized importation of rice does not excuse importers from undergoing licensing and accreditation. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. An age-old political rivalry continues as a Marcos and an Aquino are facing off in the senatorial elections in 2019. Ilocos Norte Governor Amy Marcos filed her certificate of candidacy with the Nacionalista Party on Tuesday morning. Amy arrived at the COMELEC office in Intramuros, Manila with former Senator Bongbong Marcos and her sons. Before that, Senator Bam Aquino filed his COC as he seeks a second term under the opposition's Liberal Party. Former Interior Secretary Mar Rojas, who lost to President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016, also filed his COC today as a senatorial bet under the Liberal Party. Rojas vowed to address poverty and call for the suspension of the excise tax on fuel. Lawyer Chel Diokno and Lorenzo Erintañada III also filed their COCs as senatorial candidates under the Liberal Party. Meanwhile, Jinggoy Estrada filed his candidacy for senator under the Puwersa ng Masa Party. Former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile also signified his interest in running for the 2019 elections. The government is looking at the option to suspend the oil excise tax under the train law as world fuel prices continue to surge. Malacanang says President Duterte is likely to order the suspension soon amid concerns over inflation. More on this from Benj Mondok.
Malacanang confirmed that President Rodrigo Duterte will soon order the temporary suspension of the second tranche of excise tax on fuel. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said there is already a decision to suspend the excise tax on oil, which will be documented soon. Panelo made this remark after the Department of Finance said that average crude prices over the next 2 months may stay above the $80 per barrel threshold. Under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law, excise tax levied on petroleum products may be suspended in 2019 if global crude prices average $80 per barrel for 3 consecutive months. Otherwise, the excise tax will go up by another 2 pesos by January. Special Assistant to the President Bongo also announced that the government is open to suspending excise tax on fuel. Duterte first mentioned that he was considering suspending oil excise tax to ease inflation in a press conference with reporters on October 9th. Panelo, however, said he would have to ask the president if he was amenable to the proposal of Senator Grace Poe to suspend excise tax now or sooner and not the second tranche in January 2019. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Mondok.
Communications Secretary Martin Andanar on Tuesday said he submitted a proposed executive order reverting the Presidential Communications Operations Office or PCOO to the Office of the Press Secretary or OPS, similar to the 1986 structure where the Press Secretary was also the presidential spokesperson. Andanar said that the proposed EO, which has been received by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, aims to unify the function of the Press Secretary with that of presidential spokesperson. Andanar said the OPS was created in 1986 to replace the Ministry of Information following the ouster of former President Ferdinand Marcos. During the term of President Cory Aquino, the OPS was split and the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson was created. In 2010, former President Benigno Aquino III signed EO number 4, reorganizing the OPS into the PCOO, Presidential Communications Development and Strategic Planning Office, PCDSPO, and the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson. President Rodrigo Duterte abolished the PCD-SPO and transferred some of its functions to PCOOU in 2016. Andanar said the proposed move to revert to the OPS was submitted as early as 2016, but the issue was shelved until it was revived when Senate President Tito Soto suggested the same to President Rodrigo Duterte. The Philippine Navy is sending a contingent to the first ever maritime exercise between China and ASEAN member states. Logistics support vessel BRP Dagupan City will sail along a 300-man contingent to the exercises that will be held from October 21st to 28th in Zhanjiang. The exercise, dubbed as ASEAN-China Maritime Exercise or ACMEX 2018, will be hosted by the Republic of Singapore Navy and China's People Liberation Army Navy. It aims to provide military exchanges focusing on maritime safety and search and rescue at sea. Defense spokesperson Arsenio Andulong earlier said the proposal for a joint ASEAN and Chinese naval exercise was submitted during the ASEAN Defense Minister meeting held in Singapore last February. Months of intensive work have seemed to pay off as President Rodrigo Duterte himself complimented the ongoing rehabilitation of Boracay as it held a dry run ahead of its reopening on October 26. Duterte wants Boracay to be a model for environment compliance, which will be applied to other tourist destinations. The president reiterated the importance of limiting the island's tourist capacity. Duterte ordered the closure of Boracay almost 6 months ago due to years of environmental degradation. The president is also visiting Boracay on October 26, the island's official opening day, to distribute land titles. Duterte earlier said he would give Boracay back to the island's natives by way of land reform once its 6-month rehabilitation is over. He has repeatedly referred to Boracay as a forestal and agricultural land, but said he would allow a strip of land for commercial use. He also said investments are still welcome on Boracay except for casinos. Still to come, Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says that liberalized importation of rice does not accuse importers from undergoing licensing and accreditation. The Department of Science and Technology is trying out the use of carrageenan plant to enhance the growth of rice in Eastern Visayas. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Matapos isinagawa ang pilot testing ng Katanor sa biyaya ng pagbabago Transitional Shelter Site sa Barangay Sagunsongan, Marawi City noong Setyembre 17, sisimulan ng Task Force Bangon Marawi ang Katanor sa Iligan City ngayong buwan ng Oktubre. Ayon kay TFBM Field Office Manager Assistant Secretary Felix Castro Jr., may koordinasyon na ito sa Mayor ng Iligan City at sa mga barangay chairpersons ng mga barangay na tinitirhan ng mga home-based IDP sa Iligan na nagbigay rin ng suporta para dito. Layunin ng Katanor na makakalap ng bilang, lokasyon, katayuan at iba pang impormasyon tungkol sa bawat internally displaced person mula sa Marawi para matulungan ang pamahalaan na mapabuti ang pagbigay ng serbisyo nito at sa paggawa ng mga proyekto para sa pagbangon ng lungsod. Pinaliwanag ni Castro na ang datos na makukolekta ay gagamitin para sa mga darating na tulong ng gobyerno at non-government organizations tulad ng rekonstruksyon, pabahay, health and social services, tulong sa negosyo at pangkabuhayan, seguridad at kapayapaan. Makakatulong rin ito upang matukoy ang mga nagdodobleng benepisyo ang natatanggap nang sa ganon ay masigurong bawat internally displaced person ay makakatanggap ng tulong.
Ang TFBM ang magiging repository o magkakaroon ng may-ari nung resulta nitong Katanor profiling. We will ensure na yan ay hindi ma-access ng kung sino man. Kung isang government agency ay mangangailangan ng data, ay sila ay kailangan mag-request in writing sa TFBM at yun lang data na kailangan nila ang i-release.
upang makasali sa Katanor ang lahat ng heads of household at household members na edad 5 taong gulang pataas ay kailangan dumalo upang ma-profile, habang ang 14 na gulang pataas ay kinakailangan na magpresenta ng 2 government-issued identification forms o IDs. Ang sumusunod ay ang Katanor schedule para sa Iligan City. Magkakaroon lamang ng registration center ang TFBM sa Iligan City at Marawi City. Para sa mga IDP na naninirahan sa ibang lugar, inirerekomenda na dumalo sa schedule ng barangay sa Marawi. Ang Katanor sa Marawi ay isasagawa sa buwan ng Nobyembre. Para sa detalye ukol sa schedule ng Katanor, antabayanan lamang ang anunsyo ng TFBM Facebook page. Maaari ring makipag-ugnayan sa hotline ng TFBM 0921 468 3930 or 0966-355-9652. Kasama si Wilnard Basilonia para sa Bayan, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
The government's plan for liberalized importation of rice does not excuse importers from undergoing licensing and accreditation. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol said the National Food Authority will only relax rules on rice importation. Meanwhile, the NFA Council will come up with guidelines on importation as directed by President Duterte based on what is prescribed by the law. Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque earlier said the NFA will no longer have to accredit rice dealers or determine how much rice to import. Piñol, however, clarified that the process of licensing and accreditation of rice imports still stands. Last month, Duterte signed administrative order streamlining procedures on the importation of agricultural products, including rice. Memorandum Order numbers 26, 27, and 28 were also signed to stabilize the prices of basic agricultural commodities and maintain their sufficient supply. Food prices are expected to go down soon, but producers fear a sudden price drop would hurt their livelihood. To solve this, the Department of Agriculture plans to set farm support prices that would benefit consumers and producers. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The Department of Agriculture is looking into setting farm support prices for some agricultural products to protect producers from a sudden drop in the prices of these commodities. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol said poultry raisers are concerned of the dropping farm gate prices of chicken, now at below 80 pesos per kilo. He said they are now also suggesting that if there is an SRP for dressed chicken in the market, there should also be a farm support price for chicken so poultry raisers will be protected. On pork, Piñol said he will still discuss with industry stakeholders on the level of price support. Farm gate prices of pork range from 120 to 130 pesos per kilo and even lower than 120 in some other areas amid softening demand. Prices normally decline due to low demand in October to November, the start of the second semester in schools. Pork producers expect the demand to rise again with the holiday season approaching. Meanwhile, for fresh palay, the farm gate price is expected to decline to 18 pesos per kilo. The National Food Authority is now starting to buy at 20 pesos and 70 centavos, with farmers getting a 3 peso buffer stock incentive. Piñol said the NFA is now prioritizing the procurement of local palay as they are expecting a huge volume to be procured before the end of the year. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
In a bid to tap the growing number of business travelers and tourists in the Philippines, a real estate developer and a group of hotel operators have launched a luxury hotel in Bonifacio Global City. C5 Mansions Development Corporation and Novel Residential Concepts Incorporated are partnering to develop the Aspen Hotel. C5 Mansions is providing 6 floors of its Ridgewood Towers premier to Novel Residential, which will develop and operate the Aspen Hotel. The Ridgewood project is set to be completed by 2022, after which the 6 floors for Aspen Hotel will be awarded. Hotel rates are set at 3,500 pesos per day, or around 30% lower than those in the BGC Business District. The rooms will also be up for pre-selling at around 3.5 million pesos per unit, with unit buyers a share of at least 6% per annum rental rate. The Department of Science and Technology is trying out the use of carrageenan plant to enhance the growth of rice in Eastern Visayas. DOST Regional Director Edgardo Esperancilla is hopeful that business firms will mass-produce the carrageenan plant growth promoter piloted in Luzon last year. The Philippine Nuclear Research Institute developed the technology in partnership with the National Crop Protection Center of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. The plant food supplement for rice and corn extracted from seaweeds is designed to boost the resistance to pests and diseases. Esperancilla said carrageenan helped increase rice output to up to 30%. This will help a lot in the attainment of the region's rice self-sufficiency target. Eastern Visayas is targeting to harvest 1.086 million metric tons of rice this year. So far, their estimated output is about 958,000 metric tons. In an effort to improve access to vegetable producers in the area, the government is constructing a farm-to-market road in Tunggawan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. Zamboanga, Sibugay Governor Wilter Yap Palma led the groundbreaking of the road concreting project. The Department of Interior and Local Government allotted some 113 million pesos for the 7-kilometer road. The project will pass through barangays Datu, Tumangong, Lobok, and Malongon, which are far-flung sources of vegetables. Tunggawan Mayor Carlan Climaco said the 3 barangays are home to over 4,000 farmers, majority of whom belong to the indigenous peoples of Subanen and Kalibugan tribes. Tunggawan's products include vegetables, rubber, coconut, corn, rice, and seaweeds. The farm-to-market road concreting is the 4th project under the Build, Build, Build program of President Rodrigo Duterte in this province. Up next, residents and tourists gathered at the Lower East Side to enjoy eating all things related to pickles as New York City celebrates Pickle Day. The Philippines shows exemplary performance in the Asian Para Games as the Paralympic team brings home the country's biggest medal haul so far. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Where it was a Filipino food tasting event which celebrated the diversity of the flavors of our cuisine while highlighting our local ingredients and produce.
The Negros Occidental provincial government is launching 3 major infrastructure projects following the signing of a 1.2 billion peso loan contract with the Land Bank of the Philippines. Negros Occidental Governor Alfredo Marañon Jr. and Land Bank First Vice President LC Fe Tagupa capped the signing of the loan agreement. The signing comes after the provincial board approved a resolution authorizing the governor to enter into the loan agreement last October 3. 900 million pesos will be allotted for the construction of the 7-story Provincial Administration Center. Meanwhile, 175 million pesos will be used to fund the improvement of projects of Mambucal Convention Hotel and Tourist Lodge, Negros' first hotel, and Negros Food Terminal. The remaining 125 million pesos will be used to upgrade the Eleuterio de Sena Memorial District Hospital in Hinobaan Town. In New York City, residents and tourists gathered at the Lower East Side to enjoy eating all things related to pickles. The 16th annual Lower East Side Pickle Day is a neighborhood tradition and celebration of pickles and pickled food that takes place every autumn. The event plays host to internationally renowned picklers, local restaurants, street food vendors, fashion enthusiasts, live music, and family activities. In keeping up with the traditional theme, over 20 pickle vendors sold pickles on a stick as snacks. Dozens of local vendors also served dishes with pickles and other treats. The Philippines showed exemplary performance in the Asian Para Games as the Paralympic team brought home the country's biggest medal haul so far. Swimmer Ernie Gawilan led the team as they arrived from Indonesia on Sunday at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The Philippine team brought home 10 gold medals, 8 silvers, and 11 bronzes. 3 of the gold medals came from the Davao-born Gawilan as he dominated the men's 400-meter freestyle, S7 200-meter individual medley, and 100-meter backstroke events. He also won 2 silvers coming from the 50-meter and 100-meter freestyle events. Meanwhile, Sander Severino took home 4 gold medals for individual and team chess, while Kim Ian Chi won a gold for bowling and a silver alongside Samuel Matias. Arthur Bucay also won a gold for cycling.
Hindi ko po maintindihan yung nararamdaman ko dahil yun nga po, nakapagtala ko ng history na kauna-unahang gintong medalya sa ASEAN Para Games. Kasi yun po, kasi yung medal kasi sa ASEAN Para Games, madulas ma'am eh. Siguro kung mahina talaga yung loob mo rin ba, tapos yung determination mo, baka di rin makukuha.
It's as if time flies when exactly 1 year ago, the Philippine News Agency went from print to broadcast with a pilot telecast of the PNA Newsroom. Now on its first anniversary, the PNA Newsroom remains committed in its role as an all-in-one source of news and information. Maricor Zapata has the story.
On October 16, 2017, the PNA Newsroom went live for the first time as the news webcast of the Philippine News Agency. The PNA Newsroom presents in broadcast format top stories, news from the provinces, sports, foreign news, weather updates, and features from the Philippine News Agency and its partners. Hosted by news anchors Pia Roses Morato and William Theo, the 30-minute evening newscast is aired on PTV4, the PNA website, and PNA Facebook page on prime time from Monday to Friday. The PNA Newsroom was the brainchild of Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar as part of reforms to revitalize the PNA. Now in its 45th year, the state-run news agency aims to maximize the use of the internet and the social media to fulfill its mandate to bridge the gap between the people and the government through information. On its first anniversary, the PNA Newsroom continues to grow as it looks forward to reach out to more audiences with a modernized broadcast, sharing hot, straight, relevant, and objective news. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. A. Marcos and Aquino are set for a face-off in the 2019 elections, while former presidential candidate Mar Rojas and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile also vie for senatorial slots. Malacanang says President Duterte is likely to order the suspension of excise tax on fuel soon in a bid to tame inflation. Communications Secretary Martin Andanar submits a proposed executive order reverting the PCOOU to the Office of the Press Secretary. And Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says liberalized importation of rice does not excuse importers from undergoing licensing and accreditation. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And today is extra special as the PNA Newsroom turns 1 year old today. And on behalf of PCOOU Secretary Martin Andanar and IB Director Ms. Gigi Arcilia Agtay and the rest of the staff and crew of PNA Productions, we are greeting everyone a very happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, everyone! We hope for many, many more. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.